Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, Season 3 by Joe Pappalardo.
Hello, Market Watchers, and welcome to Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, your first and only stop for BR market information and play-by-play commentary. I'm Austin Hamilton, here with my loyal and steadfast co-host, Jess Armstrong.
Oh, thanks, Austin. As we say here, it's a brutal market, and information is the edge you need to survive it. The studio is just like the markets, abuzz with rumors of a themed battle royale happening today. It's been years since the randomized weapon system has been altered, and the markets have obviously gotten used to the status quo, as this shakeup will likely null a lot of positions.
Thanks, Jessica. We'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, I'd like to make a brief announcement.
Well, sure, Austin. You have the floor.
There has been some online chatter regarding an incident with government security officials in which I was detained for questioning. These reports are true. I was invited to a local police precinct and there spoke with federal officials investigating anti-administration activities. I went willingly and cooperated fully. And that's why I want to bring this up, as a lesson to the audience. Given the current security environment and threats from outside and within the nation's border, there is a chance you, too, will one day be questioned by authorities. The best way to handle this is to just be calm, be truthful, and be polite. I can tell you from first-hand experience the interrogators are professional and thorough and will appreciate your direct, respectful approach. They want to return you back to normal life as quickly as you do. Help them do this. That's all, Jess. I didn't mean to bring the show down.
Not at all. Thank you for sharing that, Austin. We might as well knock off the usual announcement while we're at it. This broadcast is not intended to in any way supplant the official government feed. They have the video and audio feeds from their surveillance network on the island. This is programming we can't hope to match. But with BR prediction markets deemed vital to the economy and the public interest, our broadcast serves the community with updated coverage. Our broadcast is therefore not only permitted but supported, including being provided exclusive images straight from the island's command center. Right now, the authorities are telling the players the rules, and so will we. Each player will have a bag with some food, water, and a single random weapon. They will also be issued a map that divides the island into sectors. Loudspeakers tell the players which zones are off-limits and when. If they are caught off-limits, the radio signal on their explosive collars will trigger. No player has ever seen a previous battle royale, since educational facilities are physically sealed off and entirely quarantined from social media.
Jess, we have received official word about this battle royale's theme, and it's an offering of global firearms.
Oh boy, the edged weapons markets will be shutting down like libraries.
Every player will be issued a firearm, ranging from pistols to assault rifles, but the majority are military issue, from armies around the world. 29 guns and 1 sword will be issued. The traditional katana, always included to honor the foreign roots of Battle Royale, will go to 1 player.
I hope he or she is good at sneaking.
The markets are sure to respond to the long odds of receiving the sword, once the names of the 30 players is released. Expect 30 immediate binary markets, plus ternary markets predicting when the katana will appear with its player, either with the first, second, or third 10th cohort of players.
There are already new markets opening, chasing the sword's appearance. There's a 1% position on it appearing first, half a point for 15th. And the action is rising. Maybe money displaced from the nulled markets on edged weapons finding a new home?
Well, get ready for more because the names of the school and the players has been released. We will be watching seniors from the Eddie Welsh Educational Facility. The Rhode Island school is among the smallest in the federal network and had some of the longest odds, paying off long shot position holders at a whopping 0.6%. Okay, it's time for our team of data divers to shine with position-focused background research on each player. And of course, as the battle progresses, we'll analyze each as they reveal themselves on the field. It's a killer market, and our information is your best chance to survive.
I'll take the mic so you can connect with the divers to highlight the best prospects and your list of dead-enders. I'm eager to see how the theme might influence your options. I can tell the audience that the AI agents that they are using to scrub the available data on each player will always consider experience with firearms as a good thing. Even if the player is issued a feather pillow during Battle Royale, such training indicates an aggressive, willful mindset. Of course, by scraping the school-mandated psychological tests, the AI can confirm this at near light speed, building a profile that is useful for all of you playing the markets.
I don't mind interrupting because I know you want to hear this as much as everyone else. We have some player backgrounds that are of immediate interest, including school military club members Sharon Cartwright and Mike Bowles. With the previous battle's winner hailing from a military club and earning the leader's respect for his conduct, a lot of money is expected to back these players. And it's a good position to take, especially early, since both Cartwright and Bowles have good marksmanship scores during club tournaments and are also involved in athletic clubs. Gymnastics for Cartwright and weightlifting for Bowles. That's a sign of real discipline to volunteer for the military club on top of studies and sports practice. Not that their grades are great, but good enough. These are capable players, on paper.
Those are not team sports that you mentioned, Austin. Combine a solitary attitude with some military prowess, and we have the makings of two formidable lone wolf players. A distinct difference from the military club members who made it to the end as a duo during the last Battle Royale.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mary Selway, a swim team member who started a martial arts club at the Eddie Welsh facility. Her medical and psychological history perhaps explains why, since she survived a sexual assault while a freshman. The perpetrator was executed in the school's public square, but she never felt safe until she embraced Krav Maga, training from a history professor, and the pair started a club. Males are allowed to participate in the club, but few return even a second time.
Fascinating. I don't know whether to take a position on her or just root for her to win.
Let me go on to our list of athletes to keep an eye on, given the statistical skew of winners toward this population. In no particular order, we have Contact Team Sports Club members Ron Cobb and John Rodriguez. Both are offensive linemen with big builds and poor grades. They are teammates, so we will see how much that counts on the island. Also, we have rugby player Carolyn Tapp.
I like the looks of her, Austin. Red flags on her psych profiles, multiple fights, and one negative interaction with a school security officer. She broke his jaw and somehow stayed out of a juvenile detention facility. So there may be more to that story.
All I care about is her obviously high level of fitness and aggression. The stats tell us that antisocial players go farther than politicians in Battle Royale. After all, there is only one winner.
Lone wolf strategies are actually long-term safer than playing in a partnership or group. You never know who'll turn Judas first, and you might wind up on the proverbial cross.
Knowing the strong players is great, but identifying the weak ones is just as important. And there are very few times a nickname actually makes it into a player's official school file, but Norman Reynolds is one of them. Norman the Nerd came to the school as an abandoned orphan, suffering from fetal malnutrition. He still looks the part, appearing in this chemistry club photo looking like a kid 2 years younger than his age. Scrawny, with glasses and buck teeth, just as you'd imagine, Norman the Nerd looks like the dead-ender he's sure to become. Another dead-ender is Dorothy Marchini, who the records reveal as an asthmatic member of the Garden Club. A loner by nature, but not out of personal strength. In sessions to school therapists, she confesses to deep feelings of inadequacy and borderline bulimia.
I'm looking at her stats, and she's not even that heavy for her height.
It's her brain that concerns me, Jessica. This island is no place for second-guessing yourself. It's kill or be killed as soon as you step through that door.
We're getting close to the start of this Battle Royale. Any other dead-enders stick out before things kick off?
I have two worth mentioning now. One is Terry Schubert, wrestling club member, but also a head case diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and way worse, persistent suicidal ideation. Don't let the physical stats fool you. He doesn't seem cut out for what's coming. And Kenneth Clark tested so low in his annual proficiency exams, the school authorities were considering expelling him and assigning him to a work camp. He'd also been cited by school health officials for excessive weight and was cited for huffing paint to get high.
Sounds like a surefire market loser.
I don't foresee him transforming into a winner on this island, Jessica.
Are you seeing this? There are a dozen armed guards now standing outside the player doorway, positioned around a simple folding table. This is all new to the start of Battle Royale.
We're hearing from the command center on the island. This is part of a new protocol for this battle alone, due to the preponderance of guns. Today, players will be issued a supply bag inside the briefing room and be given a weapon after they emerge outside. And then, officials say the player must travel at least 1,000 yards before engaging another player.
I suppose this avoids a savvy player taking a position outside the door and picking off players one by one as they enter the field.
Wait, Jess, here comes some news. Yes, the name has been released of the ill-starred player picked to demonstrate the explosive collar in front of the other players. The end of the battle has come for Mike Fenton before it even started.
So many people have tried to divine a pattern in these early exits, to somehow find a way to crack the code and reap some long shot positions. Are the players who have discipline problems more prone to be eliminated in the briefing room? Sex, IQ score, aggression quotient, latent homosexuality and medical evaluations, we looked at them all. Every correlation has failed.
The purity of the markets must match the purity of the state, the leader has said recently. This analysis is more proof that the Battle Royale administrators use randomness to ensure fairness at all times.
And the loss of a single player in the briefing room ensures the others take their current circumstances seriously. Otherwise, too many will reject the reality they are facing and instead call the administrator's bluff during the first map restriction and end up eliminated all at once. Boring.
It now occurs to me that, with this new distribution system, we will be able to identify every weapon as it's issued. This is a rare treat for the markets, which often must wait for hours for official confirmation. But it also means that my weapons guru here will be very busy.
It's like I've been preparing a lifetime just for this moment. But the divers also have image recognition AI to help me to be totally honest.
Jess, the door is opening and this battle royale is ready to begin. The soldiers have their rifles trained at the doorway. They'll be keeping each player under their bore sights until they leave the clearing and enter the woods, where spotter cameras in the trees and fingers on collar activation buttons on control room consoles will enforce the 1,000-yard rule.
The first player is emerging. It's a female student closing that binary market abruptly.
This is Jane Feinberg, part of the school cheer squad, but not particularly popular. She's been described by others in the squad as, I quote, too negative and a downer. A data diver peek into her psych eval shows why. She still has memories of a younger sister, of course separated during intake into the federal educational system, yet still harbors hopes of reuniting with her.
There's only one way that's ever going to happen, Jane, and it means getting really familiar with the handgun she's been issued. It's a Beretta M9. This is a long-serving service pistol for the U.S. Army, among plenty of others. It's not modern, which makes me wonder about the overall mix of old and new firearms.
There won't be any markets covering that until they settle on a definition and set up some date ranges. And by then, too many players will be taking the field, skewing the odds every 2 minutes.
The soldiers seem unnerved by her presence, but Jane is taking a moment to examine the Beretta anyway. Now she loads it and experiments with the slide. Smart girl. It's safer to learn right here before another player can kill her. And with a backwards glance, she runs off into the woods, heading west.
The soldiers are aiming at the door again. Why bother? It's Norman Reynolds. He looks more frightened than anyone I have ever seen enter a battle royale. His sunken chest is heaving, and it looks like he's having a difficult time bending his knees to walk.
The soldiers are waving him over to them. One is holding a carbine assault rifle, another reliable workhorse from the U.S. Army stocks. It's a Colt M4, a more modern variant from the look of that thick barrel and optics. Okay, the AI is telling me it's a M4A1, which has a fully automatic mode, accessorized with SOP mod optics.
What does that stand for?
Special Operations Peculiar Modification. In this case, it means he's got a great zooming gun sight, but no extra underbarrel weapon. No grenade launcher attached, alas.
It's a bad match between weapon and player. I'm not sure he can lift the carbine without shaking. Is that his nerves or just his twig-like arms? He keeps talking to the guards. I don't know what they're saying behind their masks, but they are gesturing at him with their gun barrels.
He may not have much time. The clock is ticking on the release of the next player.
One of the guards has had enough. One has raised his rifle. Norman the nerd finally wised up and ran off, but it took a guard snapping a gunshot into the ground next to him for it to happen. I wonder if he'll stop to learn how to load that M4 or just run off of a cliff like a buffalo.
When he falls, someone will benefit. Give a good player that carbine, selected to single shot, and you'd be looking at a top-tier player.
In most battle royales, I'd agree with you, but who knows what other weapons may be issued? I'd be slow to take too many positions before the full scope of the arsenal becomes clear. It might not matter to the markets until someone with some capability takes it from Norman Reynolds' body.
Welcome to Battle Royale, Leslie Dilly. I'm reading the Data Diver's synopsis, and there are glimmers of hope despite her slight frame and dyed neon purple hair. We're looking at a disciplinary problem, with one major infraction for operating a marijuana grow operation with stolen garden club supplies. Anti-social leanings, but with a strong core friend group. A dislike for all authority figures, including staff psychologists.
I hope there are none of them on the island today. She's now been given a Soviet assault rifle.
Another oldie but goodie, an AEK-973 made by the Soviet Union. Each of those two clips has a maximum of 15 7.62 rounds. American combat rifles take training to use properly, while assault rifles like this just require some aim. Interesting array of powerful, reliable weapons we're seeing so far. Combat tested, each one.
As we bid farewell and good luck to Leslie Dilly, the door from the ready room has opened. And Michael Ford steps onto the playing field. His eyes are wide, but he moves quickly to the table. The background on him is soccer club goalie and acknowledged bookworm. He could be more popular but tends to withdraw from both friends and girlfriends. Kind of a heartbreaker, Jess?
He's cute, but I wouldn't get too attached. Because he's just received what is, so far, the worst weapon. It's an antique rifle, 19th century. Let me check here.
Now Ford slinks away, face clearly disappointed. I would be too. He can't know how outgunned he is. All he knows is that he's got a gun he doesn't know how to load.
Okay, Austin. That is old, but it's another trusted combat veteran called the Drace needle gun. It's a Prussian single-shot bolt-action rifle. We're talking about lead bullets and paper cartridges. It has a rate of fire of about 6 rounds per minute, in the hands of a trained Prussian soldier, that is.
What bad luck for Michael Ford. But it could be good luck for the next player out of the door, our assault survivor, Mary Selway. She doesn't look as hardened as I hoped. In fact, it looks like she's been crying. The markets won't like that display of emotion, that's for sure. But I remain hopeful in her staying power and, looking at her obvious athleticism.
To your point, Mary has moved smartly over to the weapons table, ignoring the soldiers' rifles aimed at her, and received a pump-action shotgun. It's a European 12-gauge FP6 standard, made by Fabarm for police and military use. It's very formidable at short range and useful out to 30 meters. A good weapon.
Once she decided to go, Mary Selway loped into the woods at speed, not slowing even through the trees. Like a long-limbed gazelle.
Your painfully obvious attraction to Mary Selway is obviously shared by many in the Big Three boards. A tragic backstory typically triggers a market response. She's already bringing 11% odds of making it to the final 5, even with the majority of the players still unrevealed.
Any strong player with a good weapon is alluring to those seeking early positions. But thoughts of Mary vanish as a new player emerges, Deborah Nadulman. Track and field participant in many events, but only competes in hurdles. Psych eval indicates a typical mix of insecurity and vague fear of the future, which is understandable since all educational facility students are offered scant information about life after release from school. For a select few, a trip to the island is their only graduation ceremony.
I like seeing this newly issued weapon after just seeing a workhorse allied weapon of World War II. It's a hallmark Nazi submachine gun, the MP40. It's just 8 pounds, can fire 500 rounds a minute, but of course it only has a 32-round clip. And she has just one clip, so watch your rate of fire, Deborah.
Old and new combat firearms, all combat tools tested by professionals. Pretty interesting.
Nadulman has stalked into the woods in a crouch. I have to say, for a brief appearance, she's shown some promise.
One to keep an eye on, perhaps, or take an early long odds position on her.
Risks taken now pay off big later. But be sure to mix in some shorter odds positions as hedges to safeguard your portfolio.
As we talk, Robert Watts emerges from the briefing room and takes in the soldiers, the weapons table, and the tree line before he takes his first step. He's an office holder in the school's media club and produces videos promoting jogging and speed walking. Great grades and psych evaluation that includes a note of constructively channeled narcissism. Middle of the pack, I'd say. We'll know more about him as his time on the island continues.
I'm feeling warm looking at his weapon. It's a Galil Ace-2, a subcompact assault rifle made by Israel. It shoots 5.56 NATO rounds with great accuracy and has a reputation for proven battlefield reliability in places like Colombia, Mexico, and the Ukraine.
It looks like a sleek, high-end Russian assault rifle to me.
Exactly right, Austin. I'll make an armorer of you yet. The design is based off the AK line of Soviet weapons, but I'd choose a Galil any day.
Here arrives Dorothy Marcini, the asthmatic garden club member. She looks mousy and terrified of the men with guns. They aren't the ones she needs to worry about, Jessica, unless she stays frozen in place for too long.
A soldier is moving toward her. He gives her a handgun. I recognize it as a Glock of some sort, and the AI weighs in. Yep, it's a Glock 17A, standing for either Austria or Australia. It's a semi-automatic pistol sold worldwide as a police and military sidearm. In a battle royale with edged weapons, I'd be happy to receive this. Today, however, it seems a little underwhelming.
Not as underwhelming as she is. A good player figures out how to use their weapon to get a better one from another player. I don't see this girl making such a ruthless play as tricking or tracking someone to get close enough to take a clean shot.
We'll see, Austin. Nobody wants to die today.
I'll remind you of that after our first suicide. Okay, let's take a look at Douglas Twitty, one of the younger players and most intelligent. He's part of the medical club and research science club, appropriate for an aspiring doctor. But his eval shows a level of empathy that doesn't bode well for a good performance here.
A soldier has slapped a handgun into his palm. It's a double-action revolver, the good old .38 Special. A historic man-killer in its own right. But it's perfect for urban close-quarters gunfights, not so much outdoor woodlands combat. There are few buildings on the island and lots of open ground. So I'd find a corner or a cave and use it to defend the position if I received this reliable but limited handgun.
And off he goes, due south at high speed. Now we await the next player to...
Whoa, wait a second, Austin. The control room reports a player is already down. It's Debna Dulman, she's our first confirmed KIA, and the control room is providing the feed, not streaming in real time, but close to it. It happened just beyond the 1,000-yard safe zone. There's Nadulman on the screen, hiding behind a tree and taking a bead on someone approaching. I see now that her target was Leslie Dilly. She leans forward, out of cover, and... oh, the MP40 isn't working.
Jammed?
I see what happened. Look at her hand. She's got it clamped on the magazine. Nazi soldiers were trained not to use the mag as a handhold, but Nadulman has no such experience. What happens is, hand pressure on the magazine causes its edges to slip and jams up the line of feed. It's an invitation to malfunction.
Bad time to learn that lesson. And Leslie Dilly has a far more reliable gun, a Soviet assault rifle made to be used by illiterate peasants. Dilly charges the other girl as she shakes the MP40, trying to shoot again, but Dilly closes the gap and shoots her, repeatedly.
6 shots total, 4 hits in the torso. Nice fire discipline.
Meanwhile, the latest player has emerged and received her weapon. Hassin Sufi, a robotics club member and avid gamer, is now armed with a Walther PK-380. It's a semi-automatic pistol used mostly by the Federal Republic of Germany, and well-suited to any player who wants to move quickly. It shoots 9mm short rounds, the AI reports.
I'm still watching the feed from the recent killing. Dilly stood back as her victim wriggled this way and that, like a stricken worm. She didn't start to loot the body until it stopped moving. But now the feed stopped. We certainly appreciate that vantage from the island's control room.
Sufi could be a dark horse player due to her role as an avid member of the Outdoors Club. While she brands herself as a clothing designer, she only uses supplies she gathered herself. And that includes deerskin, rabbit fur, and coyote pelts. A hunter, or trapper, or both, or a poser, even the data divers don't know.
There's almost no recoil on that, Walther. It's a beautiful firearm.
Howard Katzenberg is the next player out. He's got very little on the record in terms of achievement, but his psych eval does have some standouts that are worth considering. 1. Bedwetting into his sophomore year at school. 2. Disciplinary actions for hoarding pornographic paraphernalia. 3. More school actions for renting the paraphernalia to underclassmen. One freshman reported unwarranted touching while watching a video, but that student later refused to testify in an inquiry.
We all want to see a budding serial killer come to his own on the island, and so people will back those with some precursor signs. But while psychopaths do actually emerge, those that do seldom make it past the final 10 players.
It's a good-looking rifle that he's been given.
That, my friend, is an AK-74M, the first Russian assault rifle to not have a wooden stock. You can bury it in mud and it'll still shoot. A weapon used by insurgents and drug cartel warriors worldwide.
Katzenberg takes it, loading it awkwardly as he sets off into the woods. It looks like he's heading east by southeast for now. That makes room for the next player, and the door is even now opening. And we see that's Sharon Cartwright, our first of 2 military club members. And she looks fierce and fit, with a look that the markets rightly or wrongly interpret as belonging to a possible winner. She's stripped off her shirt and is wearing a tank top, revealing some strong arms and shoulders.
I'd think twice before wrestling with her. And she's been given a sweet sidearm, a Kimber Warrior. That's an all-American steel semi-automatic .45 used by Special Forces and the Marine Corps. You can tell it's not a Kimber Eagle because of the black mat, instead of a desert camouflage scheme. I don't need AI to tell me that.
The markets are rewarding this impressive young lady, maybe too strongly with a whopping 14% chance of her making it to the final 5. She's ducked into the trees, firearm loaded and ready. Let's see if the military experience that benefited William Griffith during last battle carries over into this one and rewards early position holders.
Oh no, look at who just walked onto the field. It's one of your dead-enders, Kenneth Clark. He looks entirely confused. Do you think he even understands what's happening? He looks like a fat kid lost inside a VR theater without a headset.
Well, the soldiers are being pretty explicit. Now they've handed him a rifle. Looks like an older model with some kind of fancy scope. He's staring at it like it's supposed to say something to him. Jess, what is that?
An M3 carbine, sort of an exotic variant used by elite units in several armies. It's basically an M2 carbine with an infrared scope that fires out to 350 yards. What a great weapon for a weak player. Does this help his odds, or does the scope only become important when someone else inherits it? I don't see much a bump for Ken Clark, so there's an early answer straight from the big 3 markets.
Out comes another athlete I have on my list of possible contenders, Vanessa Amenti. She's a phenomenal tennis player, to the exclusion of all other clubs and normal socialization. Her obsession with a tennis coach led to an affair, which in turn led to the expulsion of the coach and his eventual reassignment to a work camp. And not as a supervisor.
That scandal may explain the deepening isolation and hostility she feels toward other students, and the school. A latent antisocial hand grenade or just another broken teen? We will soon see.
She's been issued another military pistol. Seems like I've seen this one in a lot of war movies.
Talk about a classic. That's an M1911 .45 caliber. It was first issued to American units fighting guerrillas in the Moro Rebellion in Sulu during the Philippine-American War in, you guessed it, the year 1911. The Moros had high battle morale and often used drugs to inhibit the sensation of pain. A .45 is heavy enough to put down a charging, crazed tribesman, but only out to about 160 feet. But this model seems pretty new. The M1911 was used for many decades after it was first introduced.
The next player is John Rodriguez, Contact Sports Club member and a slight market favorite. He's got the athletic credentials and 2 disciplinary actions for unsanctioned hazing. He displays a lack of empathy and even a cruel streak, according to the psych evaluation. His comments about women during the eval led to an intervention on campus, and some nasty pornographic contraband was discovered. S&M sort of stuff. Animals. Really base material.
Gross. The apparent pervert is receiving his weapon, which I need AI assistance to identify. It's a Mag 95, a Polish semi-automatic pistol that represents the adoption of familiar Western features into Eastern European handgun designs. What's odd is that only Polish border guards use this. It's a bit of an outlier, but for all that, this weapon is known for durability and precision. And check out the slick chrome-plated barrel.
The markets seem to be reacting to Rodriguez's mix of psychological instability and physical strength.
Out comes a new player. I think it's a female.
Come on, Jess, don't be mean. That's just Carolyn Tapp, a rugby player and music club member. She plays drums in various speed metal bands, with lyrics cited for anti-patriotic undertones during school performances. She's a popular iconoclast among the students, and desperately heterosexual despite her rather masculine appearance. Her one reported fight was with a fellow rugby player who came onto her and was subsequently reassigned for sexual reorientation, an incident that only raised Tapp's popularity on campus. But Jessica, what the hell kind of weapon are they handing her?
It's a weird one, all right. It looks handmade or unfinished, with 2 separate barrels atop each other and an empty frame of a stock that you can see through. Oh, cool. It's an M6 aircrew survival weapon. The 2 barrels are actually 2 guns in one, a combination .22 rifle and .410 shotgun. If you're an airman who gets shot down behind enemy lines, you want options.
Tapp seems confused by the 2 kinds of ammunition she's been issued, but I can see her face settle into a grin when she understands what the M6 can do. And she walks, not runs, into the woods, heading west.
That's the exact direction as the downer Jane Feinberg, by the way. And the data divers are ahead of me on this one. They're telling me Jane listed Carolyn Tapp's band, Reverse Osmosis, as her favorite in the senior yearbook. If there is a team forming around this connection, it'll happen with a rendezvous to the west.
Welcome to Battle Royale Ron Cobb. He's another Contact Sports Club member, a backup quarterback, but his reputation is as spotless as Rodriguez's was tainted. Cobb has good grades, a solid work ethic, and holds a seat on the patriotic committee at school. The markets hate his profile, and his chances of a final 15 appearance alone sits at 95-1.
Good guys don't usually finish it all during Battle Royale, Austin.
And here might be the first proof. This rifle looks like a museum piece.
Don't knock the M1 Garand. It was the United States' first standard-issue autoloading rifle, and General George S. Patton himself called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. By the book, it's a .30 caliber, gas-operated semi-automatic rifle with an 8-shot clip. He's been issued 2 clips. Cobb's taking his sweet time leaving the area. Finally, he turns his head. I guess a guard said something. And off he goes, at a fast enough clip to reach the 1,000-yard line easily.
Jess, there's been a report from audio surveillance of a gunfight in progress, beyond the 1,000-yard safety zone. Authorities are sending drones over to take a look, so take the microphone as I stand by.
Sure, Austin. I'm looking over Christy Janaki, a dance club and contact support squad member. Fit but psychologically dependent on group identities. She has a school reputation for being easy, with multiple simultaneous partners no less. But since this isn't prohibited by policy, the psychologists didn't discuss particulars. It looks like the AI is saying Janaki is armed with the Norinco NS-522, a Chinese bolt-action rifle. This sounds impressive, but it's really a target shooter's weapon, firing .22 caliber rounds. Still, the NS-522 has a cult following among rimfire shooters for its ability to easily outperform rifles that cost 3 times as much. If I were her, I'd be taking precise shots to the eyes, temple, or throat of any player armed with an assault rifle, and then trade up.
The drones have not spotted anything. A couple of players have exchanged shots, but no bodies or blood trails have been seen. We'll see if the authorities share the results of their acoustical analysis to determine which guns were fired and identify the shooters.
I don't see any markets that information would influence, unless someone's been badly wounded. Wait, the door is opening and a new player emerges. This is Tom Sherry, whose odds are hampered by a medical record that includes epilepsy and inflammatory bowel disease. These certainly derailed his athletic club participation, relegating him to volunteer administrative jobs, like collecting towels and cleaning gear.
I don't much like the sound of that for some reason. There's an angerless acceptance to that school story that makes me think he lacks mettle.
But then again, Sherry's been issued a Winchester Ranger Model 120, a pump-action 12-gauge shotgun that could ruin someone's day. It's been kept in seemingly immaculate condition since the final production run in the early 2000s.
Let's hope for the sake of those holding long shot positions on him, that Tom Sherry is angrier than he looks on paper. Because medications are not allowed on the island, and he'll be increasingly prone to an epileptic fit. Market watchers, beware of this hidden poison pill.
Someone like Sherry could...
Hold on, everyone. Okay, are we back? Wow, that was bizarre. The door had just opened when the guards ducked down, clearly startled but soon shooting back into the trees. No one expected big, dumb Kenneth Clark to double back on the door and try to murder the guards with a sustained barrage from his M3.
I saw the flashes and counted at least 4 shots. And one guard was struck, but he seems to be walking off for medical treatment under his own power, supported at each elbow by his compatriots. What grit! It looks like the bullet glanced off his body armor and buried itself in the ballistic webbing of his elbow.
Ouch. Well, needless to say, Kenneth Clark has been eliminated, his collar triggered for flagrant violations of the rules explained to every player in the briefing room. The guards have reassembled, replacements filing out, taking empty positions and hoisting their rifles at the door. And after this unsportsmanlike and unfortunate interruption, Battle Royale can continue.
Lionel Strutt may be wondering why the guards are acting so hostile, and he was probably already spooked by the sound of gunshots. But there's no rest for players here, where adaptability is crucial. And he's been given a solid weapon, another M4A1 assault rifle, our first repeat weapon, and it's an enviable one. The guards are not giving him time to mess around with loading it. And off he goes.
Right on his heels, more or less, will be Susan Cameron. She's emerging now, and the data divers already have a dossier, albeit a thin one, on this new player. Not many achievements and no disciplinary trouble. Of interest, perhaps, is that her boyfriend of 7 months, Mitch Suskin, is also a player in this Battle Royale.
That doesn't bode well for either of their prospects, unless you count the suicide markets. And her weapon? I need help with this one. AI says it's an APS underwater assault rifle. What a cruel choice. Underwater, ordinary bullets go every which way, with a very short range. The APS fires a 5-inch steel bolt, like a spear gun on steroids. A single magazine holds 26 rounds. Just don't expect accuracy when fired through the air.
The deliberate way she's running off makes me wonder if she and Mitch have a direction in mind for a rendezvous.
She's heading due east, so we'll see which direction our Lothario heads whenever he emerges. Which should be soon, given there are only 7 players left to enter the field.
They're sending them out quickly now. I see Terry Schubert appear, and just look at the size of this wrestling club standout. His shoulders just about brushed each side of the door frame.
In what is a comedy of chance, the big man is being handed a compact handgun, a Walther P99. The German semi-automatic pistol is a reliable weapon and shouldn't be underestimated, especially since that appears to be a newer model.
If it wasn't for Schubert's record of suicidal ideation, I'd be tempted to back him as a player who could reach the top 10. But that's why we have data divers on staff, working their algorithms so we can deliver analysis in real time.
Now here comes young Will Fowler, the marching band club member who jogs with a fitness group several times a week. A social creature known to befriend outcasts, or at least speak to them. And he sure looks handsome, so that must help his popularity.
We'll see how much that counts here on the island. The markets are giving him poor odds of even making it to the final 15.
People may change their minds when they see his weapon, a very familiar Thompson machine gun. That 30-round box magazine holds 45 caliber rounds, which combined with a fast firing rate makes it fearsome. But this is America's first submachine gun and comes with limitations. Its effective range is under 100 yards, making it virtually useless in long-range engagements.
Like Will himself, it looks good but has major weaknesses.
Controlling that thing is an art form, one learned by gangsters and GIs in World War II. The barrel wants to jerk up and away if you shoot on full automatic for more than a second.
Question: would you rather be issued a shotgun or a Tommy gun on the island?
Oof, that's a hard one. Myself, I'd take the machine gun, just for the longer range and hard-hitting rounds. But with a student with no training, I'd go for the shotgun. Both require some stealth or subterfuge to get close enough to use, but the shotgun is easier to operate and more forgiving of mistakes.
Great, Jessica, thanks. We can report that Diane Lampone has entered the battle and, look there, it's the katana sword making an appearance. She's got a varied background, with prominent roles in theater club productions and a good GPA, but also a disciplinary record for stalking a junior student. Her psych eval shows signs of a pathologically ego-driven personality, a lack of empathy that borders on psychopathy. So I say give that lady a sword.
She doesn't look like a psycho. With straight black hair, slim but strong and with legs that comes with time spent on a step machine or running track. But her eyes are dark and narrow. I can see that even at a distance. We've seen plenty of battles, and I'm telling you that this girl is a killer.
I'll be the first to say, it's the mind of the player and not the weapon they receive that you should bet on. But it's not only that she's bringing a knife to a massive gunfight, it's the fact that she doesn't know everyone else is packing.
Her strategy would be the same as any other Battle Royale, though. Namely, slice up someone with a better weapon and move on to the next. But to your point, the markets seem divided on Diane Lampone's prospects. There are all manner of positions to take, so be careful out there. Market watchers.
Our other military club member has taken to the field. It's Mike Bowles, and he already has the military issue crew cut. He'd been accepted to West Point Military Academy and has been preparing for this big step out of the federal school nest by working out and drilling with the club. Now he's being tested earlier than expected, with his whole future on the line.
He's a market darling, already showing a binary market with 20% positions in his appearance in the final 5. Which is pretty impressive, considering he's just now being issued a weapon. It's the ubiquitous revolver from American history, the .38 Special, used by police and soldiers for decades. Less powerful than any 9mm, it's still beloved for its accuracy and manageable recoil.
His time on the target ranges on campus is already paying off as he smoothly dry fires the weapon before loading it. And now, he strides off into the woods.
I do wonder if he and fellow military club member Sharon Cartwright plan to link up, or if I'm still wrapped up in the dynamics of the last battle.
Only time will tell, Jessica. All I can say is, hedge your bets. And here comes Patricia Blau, a business club member with especially high math scores. These aren't skills that will be of much use, unless she's issued a cannon and can measure the correct trajectory.
That's a deep cut, Austin. Napoleon was an artilleryman and very good at math. But all I see here is a scared rabbit entering a field of coyotes. She's receiving an appropriately small weapon, some sort of an anodized aluminum revolver. I was wondering when an Italian firearm might make an appearance, but I didn't expect it to be a Chiappa Rhino 40S AR. It may look small, but that packs a half dozen .357 caliber rounds. When she fires that thing, it could send her back 15 feet.
I'm seeing a lot of pistols and almost no sniper rifles. And the sniper weapons in the field are vintage. So, expect up-close encounters. That still favors some of holders of the longer guns that are out there, like the military assault rifles. They can ambush at a distance or cut someone in half at close range.
They would always enjoy that advantage. But the administrator's map restrictions might steer the players towards the zones with buildings, to shorten engagement ranges and even out those odds.
And welcome to Battle Royale Bill Warrington. He looks like a casting call for a drama club stage presentation of Grease. And indeed, he's a member of the Gasoline Automobile Preservation Club and a dance club member. And I didn't think the world made rockabilly gearheads anymore.
I'm glad he likes vintage equipment because he's just been given an M1917 Enfield rifle. It's a World War I standby that fires 30 caliber rounds. The consolation prize for Bill Warrington is the 17-inch bayonet attached to the barrel. Aside from the katana, it's the only other edged weapon on the field. Maybe those markets have a future after all. Some collapsed or even closed prematurely when the firearm theme was announced. Now there's chaos across the big three. Oof.
That stuff always works itself out. But I'd recommend holding off on making any wild positions until things settle down. You may not be getting the payday that you think.
Ha! Warrington has shown a flash of antisocial pluck on his way into the woods, stopping long enough to shoot a middle finger at the guards before retreating. He should redirect that anger toward his fellow students. Once he reaches 1,000 yards, they will be the ones trying to kill him.
The next player, and the final female, is Barbara Hartnett. Another middle-of-the-road prospect with soccer club membership tempered by fundraising for animal welfare groups. Physical fitness, good thing. Compassion, not so much. Uh-oh. Her psych eval indicates she retains memories of some very early religious training. This island is no place to practice Christianity.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, Barbara. Take this as a sign he wants you to prove yourself. It's a Sig Sauer P320 state police issue with a healthy 17-round clip. That's a good weapon for a smaller player like Hartnett. But now the girl has made some archaic cross gesture and is walking dejectedly into the woods.
And her odds of making it even past the first 10 are diving.
What the hell do you expect? Our society has a hard time discerning the useful from the useless, but the island makes it clear.
Wait a second. Sorry, Jess. We're getting more reports of gunshots, this time definitely an assault rifle, south of the release area. So let's introduce the final player before we follow that action. It's Susan Cameron's better half, Mitch Suskin.
I could waste time talking about his garage band performances and infractions for cigarettes and beer, but to save time, I can just say we have a wannabe rocker on the island. But he doesn't seem tough. He seems sort of stooped and scrawny.
Jess, is the final weapon a .44 Magnum?
Indeed so, Austin. Well spotted. It's significantly more powerful than the standard .45 round because it generates 3 times the muzzle energy, making it a viable hunting gun rather than just a defensive weapon. A great way to end the preliminaries, which have so far taken 2 lives, including the player we never met, Mike Fenton.
Okay, Jess, we have an update. Vanessa Amenti appears to be in trouble. She literally ran into Norman Reynolds, who climbed a tree to snap shots at her with that M4. He's not even aiming, just firing blind without exposing himself. Amenti is firing back with her .45, holding it with 2 hands and shooting into the branches. I wouldn't say she's pinned down.
No, but she's fixed in place, and now I see the real danger. It's not Norman the nerd, but his apparent partner, Mary Selway. She's crept up behind Amenti while the other girl is distracted. Let's see if the microphones can pick up the finale, as Selway closes the distance.
Shot in the back. Vanessa Amenti lies on the ground, looking every bit like a crushed bug. Mary is trembling, stepping away from the carnage.
Norman Reynolds is down from the tree and approaching. His own weapon is pointed at the ground. An unlikely team. Confirmed. And one that has executed a neatly done ambush.
Reynolds wastes no time in rummaging through the bloody bag, snagging some energy bars and tucking the .45 into his belt. He also takes a bottle of water, stands, and now hands it to his shaken partner. She's coming back to reality. This is a development that will draw early positions for longevity. But how will such a partnership end? Not many think Norman stands a chance, enough so to take a market position.
But now the pair scamper off with about 5 feet between them. In a battle royale with automatic weapons, such spacing is a good idea.
Here's an idea to help guide market watchers, and it just occurred to me. Groups and duos clearly have an advantage in such a gun-heavy battle. We just watched a textbook ambush that would have been impossible by a solo player. Indeed, a lone wolf was just taken out neatly by 2 nondescript players. Is there a lesson here?
The lesson is, firing without maneuver is a waste of ammo. Maneuvering without shooting is suicide.
Meaning?
You have to be brave enough to stay mobile, even under fire. Even without teams of players setting up ambushes, other lone wolves could be attracted by the noise and take advantage.
What a sport this is, Jessica. Always a new wrinkle.
More peals of gunfire reported, this time from audio drones in the west. No sign of players or their blood. Another scared encounter. No result. But in the east, the drones have spotted a long-awaited rendezvous between military members, Sharon Cartwright and Mike Bolas. He's approaching warily, his .38 special ready but not aimed at her. She jumps, then relaxes. His gun lowers. It looks like we have a team. She's showing him the Kimber Warrior, and he looks impressed. Let's see which direction they decide.
Well, I think she decided on something else. Sharon must have seen Mike Bowles as a major threat because she absolutely destroyed his skull with a .45 caliber slug as soon as he turned his head away from her.
Cold-blooded.
Sharon Cartwright has collected the .38 special, a good fallback piece if needed. But she's holding the Kimber, obviously appreciating the weapon after a drop-dead performance like that. Speaking of which, the markets are spiking on her survival chances even as the ones regarding Mike Bowles close.
Who made money on his early exit? Anyone holding the 75% chance odds of his not making the final five eked out some small gains, but better returns are being enjoyed by those holding 40-to-1 positions on his falling among the top 10 players.
There's only one thing that could tear us away from such a dynamic battle royale, and that's the welcome address by the leader himself, who we're being told is nearly ready to take the podium. So we'll keep an eye on the players as they disperse, link up and take each other out, and fill everyone in on the updated action as soon as we're able. Hello, market watchers, and welcome to Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, your first and only stop for market information and play-by-play commentary. I'm Austin Hamilton, here with my always affable co-host, Jess Armstrong, who is positively chomping at the bit to let everyone know what's been going down on the island since the official feed was re-established after the leader's excellent speech.
Where to begin? There have been team-ups and takedowns. The most notable elimination came as big. Terry Schubert faced Tom Sherry's Winchester pump-action shotgun. Schubert displayed a suicide-by-cop tactic that we've not seen before. The big guy just spots a player and walks up, shooting that Walther as soon as he's got a line of sight. And that was enough to spook Tom Sherry, who caught a bullet in the lung before even being able to get off a shot. Terry Schubert looks dumbfounded that he's not dead, as many of us also feel. It was bold and successful, sure. But suicidal ideation as a winning strategy? I wouldn't bet on it, folks.
Having said that, now he's a big crazy guy with a nice shotgun.
In another development, Christy Janaki has struck from hiding under fallen branches to put a .22 slug in the right thigh of Lionel Strutt at about 100 yards as he walked through a field. She was probably aiming at center mass, but the bullet dropped. Anyway, he fell back while sending a hail of 5.56 NATO rounds in her direction, none of which landed close. He's gotten out of her kill box, but that blood loss looks serious. He's not hobbled, but he's clearly hampered.
There are teams forming, so let's run them down while we can. We've got a confirmed rendezvous between Jane Feinberg and Carolyn Tapp, and another power couple formed by asthmatic Garden Club member Dorothy Marchini with her Glock and Douglas Twitty with a nice .38 special. A troika has also formed between Susan Cameron, boyfriend Mitch Suskin, and third wheel Hassin Sufi.
Sometimes it's hard to let your significant other see your primal side, so ill-advised acts of mercy and compassion are really to be avoided. Otherwise, 3 shooters would be better than 1, and the markets would reward these players with better odds, individually and as a group.
With 6 players down, the first map restriction is being announced.
7, Austin. I just heard from the command center on the island that Patricia Blau has blown her head off with the .357. This happened off camera, but there is now drone footage showing her body slumped under a large tree. She was always good at math. Maybe she calculated her rotten 82-to-1 odds of seeing the final 10 and just got it over with.
And with a map restriction underway, she could have just sat and waited for the caller to activate. Furthermore, her fine handgun won't be recovered, with no players passing nearby to reach the safe zones.
Here's my thinking as the majority of players are uprooted and driven inland. First, whoever gets there first has a major advantage in terms of choosing ground. This may always be true, but gunfights in particular are often decided well before they begin. But as we expected, the players are already being corralled to where there are more buildings. This is usually more of an endgame method to force remaining players to collide, and we expect the collision of these solo players and teams to yield some explosive results. Those who gain defensive positions in the buildings could be hard to uproot. The trick is to let foes inside, not shooting from the windows and betraying your location.
Unless you're drawing people into a trap.
You're learning, Austin. I'm getting proud of you.
Thanks, Grasshopper. Now, as the players tuck their maps away and get to their feet, we can take a minute to plug something worthwhile. Our streaming seminar, Building Your Battle Royale Market Portfolio. We can teach you how to mix long shots and sure things into a profitable mix of market positions. You can play like the pros if you do the research.
I recommended it to my friend Sue, who knows diddly squat about Battle Royale. She's not dumb or anything, but honestly the woman doesn't know a K-bar from a katana. She is $2,000 up on a handful of moderate-risk positions, just for the last battle. Imagine her earnings this time if she follows through and doubles her stake.
Fantastic, Jessica. I'm also definitely following what you're saying about this battle being decided by those who move fast. With that in mind, Will Fowler has arrived in the safe zone, entering through a grove of banana trees. With the Tommy gun and movie star looks, he kind of looks like a World War II Marine, to be honest.
He's got the map out and knows exactly where he is, on the cusp of zones. Fowler is looking around. Let's see what he does. Interesting. He's moving along the edge of the zone, maybe 200 feet on the safe side. He's either on the prowl for players exposed while they move, or else he's looking for an ambush spot.
Why not both? He's clearly got a good sense of how to use the map and the rules to his advantage.
Looking at the display of known player locations, he might intersect with the Suskin trio, or if she doesn't deviate from her course, Leslie Dilly. Either way, excitement guaranteed.
In a stroke of luck, Barbara Hartnett found herself in the safe zone, giving her a little time to find a safe-feeling haven in a one-room farmer's hut, a simple wooden building with holes in the thatch roof. Now that we have a feed from inside, I can see she's woven a handful of reeds into a 4-foot cross. Hartnett has hung this on a chair and, sure enough, just kneels before it.
Not sporting. On another screen, I can see Lionel Strutt has limped out of the danger area. He doesn't look good, does he? The video feed is pretty distant, but his wounded leg is clearly sapping his energy. I wasn't sure he'd get up again after collapsing after reaching the green zone. His bandage is loosening and he doesn't seem to notice.
Christy Janaki has reached the safe zone and is proceeding to assemble more limbs for another trapdoor-style ambush spot. She might have gotten deeper into the zone, but I do see a line of sight in 3 directions up to 200 yards.
The island surveillance system has finally located John Rodriguez, the troubled contact sportsman. And he's hot on the heels of Barbara Hartnett. He might have staked out the building to see who he could entrap there. I get a sick feeling, knowing his history and her willing martyrdom. But there he goes, creeping toward the windowless building with that Polish semi-automatic pistol gripped in one hand.
Dorothy Marcini and Douglas Twitty have passed just behind Janaki's sniper setup in her blind spot. But her camouflage pays off, and they didn't see her either. The pair may become the first team to find the 4-building village inside the green zone, much smaller than the currently off-limits ghost town section of the map.
John Rodriguez has entered the one-room building and draws down on Barbara Hartnett. Now he's smiling. These students know each other, and he must see a defenseless victim. And when someone pathological sees something helpless, they tend to abuse it. Rodriguez is speaking now, finger off the trigger, now approaching with a sick grin on his face. I'm not sure.
Holy shit, Jessica, and for the first time, I might mean that literally. Barbara Hartnett turned without any drama and shot John Rodriguez in the face with the Sig Sauer.
I take back everything bad I have ever said about Barbara Hartnett. What a lovely setup. But I do wonder if Rodriguez didn't have bad intent, would she have killed him? Was this an ambushing or an holy avenging? Where is her head at?
All I know is that she's taken the cross off the chair and left the building, with both pistols hidden inside her clothing. The markets are as confused as I am, and the odds are inconsistent across and within the big three marketplaces.
We're jumping now to the adventures of Will Fowler, who's hammering at Suskin, Cameron, and Sophie with the Thompson as they try to reach the safe zone. They've got about 6 minutes to clear 50 unobstructed yards. Fowler's got them pinned in the danger zone.
They'll have to make a break for it. 2 pistols and a fancy spear gun won't do against a Tommy gun.
And there they go. Sophie is on her feet first, snapping shots with her Walther at the base of a tree, where she knows Fowler's shooting from. The Tommy gun rips a ragged line in the tall grass to her left. She's still moving forward, shooting.
The other 2 have taken off, they're not engaging.
Now Sophie's fallen, cut down with a low sweep of the Thompson. Her leg and pelvis were hit, and each .45 round broke bones and scrambled organs. The only question is, will she bleed out before her collar triggers?
There's no market for that.
Well, there should be. In all the excitement, I lost track of the 2 lovebirds. I imagine they escaped together.
Safe in the green zone, yes.
Will some data diver pull up whatever the official broadcast has shown of those 3 on the move? I want to see something.
Marcini and Twitty have eschewed the buildings and moved off into the woods, settling down in the shelter of an overhanging boulder. They feel safer than they are, with lots of blind spots, but they see hiding as a viable strategy. You know my feelings about that, Jessica?
The stats don't lie. The hiders die. There. Thanks, divers. I knew it. Sophie had taken point in front of the couple every time they moved. Suskin and Cameron either knowingly or subconsciously had a human shield, and I'd be curious if there's anything in Sophie's psych eval that would indicate an impulse for protective self-sacrifice.
Interesting stuff for the post-mortem program. Right now, Leslie Dilly has caught up with Lionel Strutt. She's ready to shoot him, but hesitates. It's the way his hand isn't even gripping that assault rifle, which is laying by the body. I can see he's still breathing. I bet she can too, so maybe she should plug him anyway.
That does not appear to be her style. She's creeping toward him, MP40 held at his motionless head. He's passed out. A goner. Dilly raises the submachine gun, lowers it, and now takes out the clip. She drops the MP40 and picks up the M4 assault rifle, the Soviet-A EK-937 slung across her back. And now she's gone, unwittingly heading toward that village.
I'd say she didn't want to make noise by finishing him, but did you notice that she left him a bottle of water? Unexpectedly tender touch from an otherwise cold-blooded player.
More activity to report as the drones race across the island to cover a running gun battle between Robert Watts and Ron Cobb. The official feed mentioned that Cobb took the first shot with the M1 Garand and was quickly driven into cover by Watts and his modern Galil assault rifle. The drone just arrived. And there's Cobb, parts of him blown off and others twisted into impossible angles. He looks like a cigarette that's been snubbed out on a red paint can lid and dropped in the dirt.
There's no sign of Watts, but I see the old semi-automatic rifle has been left by Cobb's body. It's smart to resist the temptation to hoard weapons. Who needs the extra weight?
Having said that, I agree with Dilly's choice to not leave any firearms loaded if they're to be left behind. That was a shrewd move, especially under this kind of pressure. I like Dilly for a Final 5 appearance, if you want to know the truth.
She gives me a good feeling, but feelings ain't stats. And the stats seem to be leaning toward Cartwright and Watts, who are also already blooded. By the way, when Strutt bleeds out, or is disqualified via explosive collar, he'll be the 10th player eliminated, and the closure of markets representing an incredible $4 million.
I won't bother asking for you to do a collar countdown with me, but we have a good drone shot of Strutt's final resting spot. Since he's still breathing, the official broadcast and the markets are watching closely. Does it have audio? Some of them do now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pop goes the player. Sometimes it takes the entire head, sometimes just enough to sever arteries. With his head slumped over, this blast took off his throat and jaw.
And that makes number 10. Congratulations to all the winners out there who somehow divined the first 10 players, or the safer odds taking a position behind a stronger player getting past this milestone. 19 eliminations to go, with sunset just about upon us.
With this battle starting later than usual, in deference to the leader's busy schedule, there's not likely to be another map restriction before dawn. It's hard to track the action at night, even with audio surveillance, thermal drones, and a slew of Starlight ground video units disguised as foliage. But that's security stuff, not suitable for a live broadcast. So we'll go dark when the island goes dark and when all but the rarest form of committed player is doing anything but sleeping.
The sun isn't down yet, and the village is about to get lively. Let me describe the setup as I understand it. Unstable. Howard Kattenberg has arrived early and is staking out the village. There is an instinct to seek shelter, and others recognize this as an opportunity. His AK-74 is cradled in his arms as he lays under a bush for cover. Approaching the buildings, huts really aren't they? Approaching the village are Feinberg and Tapp, side by side, but weapons at the ready.
That would be the dual-use pilot's survival weapon and an M9 pistol.
Making matters more complicated, Robert Watts is approaching from the north. With 4 buildings, he could be seeking to occupy one or ambush someone coming or going. All I know is he's heading straight into the village like the others.
As they get closer to a showdown, let's take a quick canvass of some other players. Bill Warrington has settled under a tree, aiming his Enfield in seemingly random directions. He appears terrified, and not at all the cool customer who flipped off the guards. Terry Schubert has been blundering southwest, missing the village entirely and heading into the rugged bluffs and dunes that precede the ocean cliffs. Barbara Hartnett is actually doing the same, but from a northeast approach. Reynolds and Selway have their tree ambush set up again, not knowing potential victims have already preceded them or passed them by. And Diane Lampone has been slowly creeping southward as well, avoiding all contact like a jungle cat.
Suskin and Cameron have settled down outside the village, crawling side by side only close enough to see the buildings. But all eyes are settling on Feinberg and Tapp, who think they might be the first to arrive at the village. They're moving slowly, the barrels of their weapons flitting from building to building. They don't know the danger is from the tree line.
Well, they do now. Katzenberg has the AK-74 on full auto and rips up the field around the 2 female players. They're on the run, so far unscathed. Katzenberg tries again, shooting over their heads.
Oh shit, here comes Watts, out of the woods to Katzenberg's left, spraying him down with the Galil. Katzenberg scuttles back like a crab as Watts closes the distance to the village, dashing inside a building.
So too have Jane and Carolyn, but I don't think anyone noticed.
Howard Katzenberg has realized something important and takes a beat on the building where Watts is sheltering. Those walls are awfully thin.
And the AK-74 is now in demolition mode. Katzenberg is dismantling the walls with tight bursts, bullets punching through the crude building. And the control room is sharing images from the cameras inside. The kid is still shooting through the walls, but Robert Watts is clearly dead. One of the bursts caught him cleanly in the head.
On a separate stream on the official broadcast, I see Leslie Dilley on one knee, head cocked to listen to the melee. She doesn't like what she hears and stalks calmly in the other direction, M4 held at her shoulder. I take this as a sign of intelligence, not a lack of aggression.
Howard Katzenberg stops shooting and gets to his knees, staring at the village. I wonder if he's running low on ammo and has designs on that sweet Galil. He needs to keep a sharp eye out. From an overhead feed, from a lighter-than-air balloon the administration is now using, we get a great shot of Michael Ford stalking the village. Look at the way he's holding that ancient single-shot rifle, Austin.
That's not a Prussian rifle anymore, it's a badass cudgel, if he can get close enough to a clearly distracted Katzenberg to use it. Feinberg and Tapp are literally laying low inside their hut. They're aiming their firearms at the door, but otherwise don't appear to be any kind of threat. This duel will be between Katzenberg and Ford alone.
And now he closes in for a final dash. The charge worked. It worked. Katzenberg is down, nose pushed in by the heavy butt of the rifle. Ford is working his head over with short, vicious jabs, staving in the other player's skull.
And now he can claim his war prize, the AK-74. What a monumental trade-up, Jessica.
He's also clever enough to take it and leave right away, before someone does to him what he just did to Howard Katzenberg. I do wonder how many rounds are left after that clash.
We'll try to get a count from the replay. But I should mention that Sharon Cartwright has arrived at the village and has settled down to watch the buildings from a prone position, similar to Katzenberg, but without the benefit of an assault rifle.
I kind of doubt she has that kind of ambush in mind. The more she observes, the more dangerous she becomes.
And just as the sun sets, more news and freshly shot drone footage. I'll describe what I see, which just happened. Christy Janaki is climbing down from a tree, dangling from a branch with one hand, the other holding the Chinese bolt-action rifle. Terry Schubert, walking in aimless circles, spots her and calls out before charging. The girl panics as the human mountain gets closer, finally raising the Walther P99 to shoot. The rifle flashes, but Schubert doesn't even seem to flinch as the bullet sails past. And now his own gun barks, again and again, and I'm seeing Janaki crumple and fall. The blood looks black in the dying light.
The big suicidal dummy has done it again. I don't think he can believe it. I think, if my eyes don't deceive me, that he's taking the time to berate her corpse. I would guess the topic would be her terrible aim and his unfulfilled death wish.
One more elimination and we'll have the names of the final 15. It's too bad the day is ending and we won't have that tied up before our nightly broadcast break. We'll leave tracking any nighttime action to the authorities, and they'll fill us in first thing when the official broadcast, and ours, continues at dawn.
Before we sign off, Austin, a tender moment here on the island. If Dorothy Marchini and Douglas Twitty weren't an item before they got to Battle Royale, they sure are now. All I will say is that, from what I saw before the drone tastefully flew away, is that neither is at risk of dying a virgin.
Way to go, Doug. And with that, we'll sign off. For Jessica Armstrong and myself, have a good night and keep a close eye on the markets. We might sleep, but they never do.
We're on live now. Hello. The transmission you're receiving is coming from the Charles Wu Brigade. We've hijacked one of the only remaining independent networks, the odious Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, to send our message. If you are hearing this, it's because you have the encryption in place to do so. To everyone else, this is random static, indistinguishable from routine interference. We will use it to coordinate the effort to dismantle this administration and end the authoritarian reign of the man who calls himself the leader. Using the blasphemy of Battle Royale prediction. Market radio to sow revolution is poetic justice. Any greedy enterprise that capitalizes on human misery and blood sport should be turned against those who create and profit from it. And rest assured, when we stop Battle Royale, all of its enablers will pay a steep price. But this is all in the future. For the present, stay tuned into this streaming station when it's off air, so we can reach you. Before we sign off, I'd like to explain the name. Charles Wu was a Battle Royale player who used his intelligence to hack the surveillance equipment on the island to send a message, an idea we adapted. He was delusional to ask the leader for help and lost his head as a reward for his naivety. But he is not a dupe to be reviled, but a victim of a crooked system that kidnaps children, raises them in isolation, conditions them to fight each other and serve the state, and then sacrifices dozens twice a year for the worst. Gutter form of entertainment. This is but one of the leader's many depredations, a roll call of abuses and crimes that can only be answered for in blood and fire, which one day we will deliver to Battle Royale, to the administration, and God willing to the leader himself. Be safe, my brothers, and stay tuned.
Hello, market watchers, and welcome to Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, your first and only stop for BR market information and play-by-play commentary. I'm Austin Hamilton, here with my radiant co-host Jessica Armstrong.
Someone is feeling chipper for so early in the morning.
Just excited for another full day of Battle Royale. And let's jump right in, because there are some new details to go over, including a clarification of exactly who made it into the final 15, even if they didn't make it through the night.
At issue is the order of deaths, but we have the official word that should settle these markets and end the current chaos. Austin, I'll let you explain since you've been in touch with authorities directly.
Thanks, Jess. Okay, let's start with what we know. At around 2 a.m., Sharon Cartwright crept into the village and, after searching 2 empty buildings, found Carolyn Tapp and Jane Feinberg sleeping inside the third. And that's where the confusion begins. Both Tapp and Feinberg are dead. That's beyond dispute. But the second to die was officially and briefly part of the final 15, and therefore the basis of a host of markets.
So do they know the order?
Jessica, they do. Courtesy of the cameras inside the huts, which use forward-looking infrared. Based on those images, Cartwright took shot Tapp first, in the chest, and then took the time to aim carefully as Feinberg sat up, putting one in her head. That was an instant death, while Tapp's sucking chest wounding took longer. So hearty congratulations to those hardy souls who chose Jane Feinberg to make it into the final 15.
Did Cartwright take the Beretta?
I think so. I know she looted the food and water and dashed from the village as fast as the darkness would allow. But that's not the only news to report in developments that Jessica has been following on the official broadcast.
Diane Lampone, the dark-haired actress, was caught at around 5:45 a.m. trying to sneak close to Will Fowler, who was asleep in some hollowed-out dirt at the base of a rock. Or so it seemed, because Fowler nearly cut her in half with a well-aimed burst from the Thompson that unstitched her from the stomach to throat. He plucked the katana from her dead hand, claiming the weapon as his own.
A sign he's planning for the time when his ammunition runs out. The markets love this kid, and this is a reason why.
The sun's come up and the new map restrictions are even now being announced. The overall migration is from east to west, or east to southwest. The village is now a no-go zone. The bluffs are safe to the northwest, and the ghost town now open for business to the south. Who will go where will determine who fights.
Let's see who's already green. Big Terry Schubert is prowling around in the safety of the dunes, having not even consulted his map this morning. Barbara Hartnett is getting closer to the ghost town and will in all likelihood be the first to discover it. Reynolds and Selway are mobile, walking with a respectable distance between them, but undoubtedly are looking for a perch for the nerd to climb, luring in another victim.
Bill Warrington has reached the safe area, but for all his paranoia, he's heading straight for Schubert. That's something to keep an eye on, and whatever drone operator that have on console sure knows it. I'll watch the broadcast while you talk about Leslie Dilley, who may be facing another market mover by the name of Sharon Cartwright.
Yes, Jessica. The pair are moving parallel to each other, unwittingly closing into a gully where 2 bluffs taper off. It's a natural crossing point, and the pair are basically steering into an unexpected meeting.
Schubert has a preternatural sense for other players, like a bear or something, because he's steering himself right at a clueless Bill Warrington. Okay, now he hears the footsteps. Jesus, the big guy has a shotgun, but he's using the katana in a true kamikaze charge. Warrington hefts the Enfield, ignoring the trigger to aim the bayonet at the Hulk bearing down on him. And the katana flashes. And the bayonet is pushed aside, but Warrington repositions, not in time to avoid the sword stroke, but enough to get the bayonet to stick into Schubert's abdomen.
It's safe to say that Bill Warrington's a goner. His carotid artery has let go in a fountain of gore, and whatever flailing he's doing will soon stop.
Looking at Schubert, that bayonet's got to be 6 inches deep, and tearing it out only caused more damage. The man is clearly staggered, holding his stomach and probably trying to hold in the loops of intestine. Yeah, Schubert is down on his ass, finally realizing how badly he's hurt. He's not stupid, just in shock. The pain will be arriving soon.
Oh, he feels it now. And here comes the pump-action shotgun. This would be the second suicide, with the biggest market on all the big boards being the over-under on 3. So let's wait and see him make it official. We've seen blunders before.
Hard to screw up killing yourself with a shotgun, but if someone can figure out how to do it, it'd be crazy, Terry Schubert. Nope, he did it right. Barrel in mouth and head entirely removed above the jawline. And that makes 10 players left. Check the positions for top 10 contenders, and I bet there's good profits being made by those with positions on long shot players like Norman Reynolds and Dorothy Marchini.
Now I see that Leslie Dilly has closed the gap between her and Sharon Cartwright. The drone view is perfect, as the two glimpse each other at the same time. Well, almost the same time since Dilly has the M4 trained on Cartwright, who's given up trying to take a bead with the Kimber warrior and is diving for cover. And Dilly doesn't take the shot, but lays down to reduce her profile, while maintaining some line of sight.
This has turned into a negotiation. Mouths are moving, and I would bet based on Cartwright's previous betrayal, she is probably pitching a bogus partnership. I wonder if she knows Dilly and has her pegged as a garden club pothead. And maybe she is, because Dilly has thrown down her M4. Cartwright stands, empty hands exposed, Kimber 45mm holstered. Dilly now kneels, and the women seem ready to cement a new partnership.
Oh wow, out comes the AEK 973. Cartwright aims the Beretta she was hiding, but it's too late, and the force of at least 4 center mass hits from 7.62 rounds have punched through the frontrunner. She's been put down, blood coughing from her gasping mouth.
And Dilly stands and approaches, aiming carefully, slowing her steps as she stands over her prey. And now putting a bullet into Cartwright's forehead.
Wow, that is high drama. 2 dynamic players in a one-on-one showdown. This is the absolute pinnacle of the premier sport of American history.
No time to dwell. That's what my post-game show is for. There's even now a 2-on-1 encounter developing in the South as Michael Ford makes his way into the trap of Norman Reynolds and Mary Selway. The nerd is in the tree again, ready to take pot shots at Ford as he approaches, and the femme fatale waiting to flank him with the 12-gauge.
Now it's just a waiting game as Ford approaches cautiously, crouching and peering ahead after every few steps, coming through the sparse woods here near the ghost town. The trap will soon be sprung. Reynolds is firing, not as blindly as before, but honestly, all he has to do is keep Ford pinned for a half minute as Mary works her way.
Oh no, Ford's no dummy. He's charging the tree, the Soviet assault rifle chewing up the bark, and now it's Norman Reynolds who's been pinned in place. Mary is charging up from behind, but the distance is farther than she planned, and the AK-74 now turns her way.
Mary Selway is down, hit in a barrage so intense I'm not sure where each bullet landed. Several in her legs, another in her sternum, and at least one through the throat. But the final fight is getting Norman the nerd down from that tree.
Ford just keeps putting single-shot rounds into the limbs until... Yep. The bullseye shot went into Norman from below, burrowing through his groin up into his torso. A fatal shot, and Norman Reynolds now tumbles from his branch and onto the ground.
I'm seeing Will Fowler moving through the dunes now, heading southwest. I'd expect him to clash with any number of players as each makes it into the safe area.
Michael Ford now has the shotgun to add to the assault rifle. He's proving himself, but the bad news is that his odds are no longer as long. Even last afternoon, you could find markets offering 5-to-1 odds of his final 5 appearance. Those are above 50% now.
He's only got to outlast 2 more players, and he's one of that coveted final 5.
Hartnett is at it again. She's posted up inside a ghost town building, kneeling in front of her homemade cross. We know it's a trap, or at least we think it is.
The other players are in motion, working their way to an inexorable doom. That gives a chance to talk about the namesake after which the Eddie Welsh Educational Facility is named. Welsh was a metalworker who lost his life on the front lines of the protests that eventually swept out the corrupt puppet masters of democracy and replaced them with an orderly and permanent administration. He has featured prominently in the leaders' speeches, with a goal of promoting patriotism in all of our hearts by reminding us all of the sacrifices made by those who preceded.
I'm so sorry, Austin, but the feeds are focusing on the arrival of Mitch Suskin and Susan Cameron to the ghost town. Now the drone feed changes to a camera mounted in the interior hallway of the building where Barbara Hartnett is holed up. Yes, they are in the same building, the pair creeping forward while the solo player remains kneeling.
No, she's praying out loud, drawing them in or announcing her pacifist intentions.
I've seen her kill a boy just yesterday. I'm voting for she's setting them up for a dose of wrath.
Now the couple reaches the room and stare at Hartnett's pious display. No response. Now Suskin walks into the room, pleading something. Cameron cries out to him. He turns and then, yes, this is when Barbara Hartnett strikes like an adder. The Mag 95 is in her hand, pulled from between her kneeling legs. Oh my goodness, Jessica, this is getting ugly.
Let me try to catch people up. Mitch Susskind has been shot in the chest at point-blank range. He's down. And Susan Cameron was also shot, fumbling with her spear gun thing, shattering her shoulder. Hartnett is on her feet now, aiming at the wounded girl with a very blank expression on her face. It's quite a coup for this very long shot player.
But look, Susskind has some life left in him. He may be folded up like a fortune cookie, but he's got the .44 Magnum held steady. Namasam. I have never seen someone literally blown out of their shoes, but Hartnett left one sneaker behind after the slug impacted her between the shoulder blades. It exited, leaving a soup can-size hole in her chest cavity.
Susan is moving to her bow, like a crippled insect, shoulder drenched red. Now the couple are holding each other, crying. It's a time for first aid and harvesting weapons, not emotional displays.
I don't think these two have any charge left in their batteries.
Keep a close eye on Susskind. When he dies, we have the final 6 settled.
Let's do rundown as if he's already expired, as it appears he wishes was the case. It would be Susan Cameron, Michael Ford, Will Fowler, Douglas Twitty, Dorothy Marchini, and Leslie Dilley. These 6 include some unlikely names and some big payouts for the lucky few who backed these long shots to reach the final 5. But how long can the luck last, with the safe zones on the island set to once again shrink?
Judging by Cameron's wailing, it seems that Mitch Susskind has died. So do we have any idea, from the player tracking screen, who are in close proximity?
We lost track of Will Fowler, so who knows where he might pop up. Out in the bluffs, Michael Ford may cross the path of Twitty and Marchini, with a dangerous player squaring off against a couple who decided that it was a good time to get laid.
Harsh but fair, Austin.
I just call him as I see him. And I'll remind people that Ford has a shotgun and an assault rifle. The question is, will they see each other? They're both picking their way out of the dunes, seeking the shelter of the trees, which of course is where the ghost town is located, and other remaining players. Another map restriction may not even be necessary unless opponents hole up in separate buildings and don't move.
Leslie Dilley has reached the town. She's the very picture of lone wolf caution, isn't she? Every direction is a threat, and there's only one of her to cover all the angles. So her head is on a swivel, moving constantly.
Ford has not discovered Twitty and Marchini. The pair walked too slowly, and he blew past them to make for the trees himself. I imagine he heard some shooting there earlier, and he'll be on guard as he approaches.
I found Will Fowler. He's entering the town, only from the northwest. He's arriving just as Leslie Dilley makes her move, dashing into a nearby open garage. And he's setting after her, padding along with the Tommy gun raised to his shoulder. She's in grave danger here.
He's stopped by the garage entrance, but I no longer see her. Dilley must have gone deeper into the building, maybe looking for another exit. Never leave the way you came in, is the tactical lesson here.
Ooh. Or maybe she just wanted a clean shot. Because Will Fowler has staggered away from a suddenly perforated garage wall, Tommy gun clattering to the broken paved street as the strength ebbs from his body. Now he collapses, in that special way that only the freshly dead can manage.
Jesus, Jessica.
Too much? I apologize.
No, you should win an award. Dramatics aside, we have a serious exchange of money going on right now as Will Fowler, after enjoying 2 days of strong backing in the markets, cashes in his chips at the hands of the unexpectedly deadly Leslie Dilley.
And now I see her. I love it. I can see the katana scabbard hanging from its shoulder strap. Somehow they just know it's special, like an aura.
Well, it's reliable in a pinch, when the bullets run out and someone needs a quick killing.
You're no romantic, that's for sure. But how else do you explain the continuing lifespans of Dorothy Twitty and Doug Marchini? Except that love endures.
Tell that to Susan Cameron, crippled and crying inside that house, guarding her dead boyfriend's body with the .44, held her one good arm, as if it wasn't too late. If the map does zero out the town, she'll be headless 6 minutes later.
She's still alive and armed. Beyond that, I see your point.
I may be able to offer another example. Michael Ford has doubled back and spied Twitty and Marcini approaching. They are scared and find comfort in each other's proximity, touching shoulders as they walk. Ford now stows the assault rifle and hefts the shotgun.
I see where this is heading.
We may have an audio feed, Jessica.
And in a cloud of whirling buckshot, Douglas Marcini and Dorothy Twitty have been eliminated from this battle royale. And yes, it happened in that order. The pair withered in the face of the first blast, and each got their own shot once down, with the gentleman going first.
Ford unburdens Twitty of her unused Glock 17 and trots off, leaving the extra water and food behind. He must feel like more will be available before too long.
Or maybe it's all been shredded. I mean, look at the remains. I don't know where one player starts and the other stops.
True romance, eh? But the real news is that all three final players are nearly within shooting range of each other. Leslie Dilley has moved from the garage and is stalking toward the nominal center of town, a small gazebo that Susan Cameron might be able to see from a window if she was able to get to her feet and look. And Michael Ford is approaching, well-armed and primed for the endgame.
We just have to wait and see who finds who. Now Ford moves up quickly, entering the town at a brisk run. Leslie Dilley catches some movement because she whirls in his direction and does her own 100-yard dash to the open porch of what appears to be a defunct dentistry. She laying there, not so much protected by the lattice as obscured by it. The M4 barrel is sticking out between the gap in the lattice.
No sign of Ford in town. The trackers lost sight of him when he entered town. Basically, he entered a building and hasn't emerged, but the video inside doesn't see him either.
He's gone out a window into the building's metal awning. The drones spotted him up there. He's relying on the AK-74 to make good on its heritage of urban combat and fire down on enemies from high vantages. This helps bullets to find gaps in body armor. Insurgents found.
Whoa, too much information.
Just historical facts, not how-to advice.
Dilley's moving out from cover now, and I'll be damned if she isn't crossing right under Ford's kill box. After she takes a few more steps, he'll have a clean shot down at her in the street. This looks bad for Dilley, whose run has been epic so far.
She's slowed her step. How does she know there's danger? Oh, I get it. She's not psychic or anything, just observant. Look the ground under Ford's position.
He's creating a damn shadow.
Dilley aims the M4 straight into the metal awning and fires. And again. The bullets pass through cleanly, to the mortal disadvantage of Michael Ford. One knee explodes, a thigh bursts blood, and then he straightens as if jerked to attention by a bullet cavitating through his lower body.
And down he goes, head first into the street. Dilley has struck again, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
And now there are just two. Leslie Dilley and Susan Cameron. No known social connections between them, just two shared classes across 7 years of school. Virtual strangers, fated to meet with millions of dollars at stake.
The loudspeakers blare. 2 players left.
I think Leslie may have believed Ford was her last challenge. But now she squares her shoulders, takes a deep breath, and moves toward an empty house. She's peeping through the window, now sees it's clear, checks another. Methodological. Confident. This is a champion at work.
The camera on Susan Cameron is fogged up with condensation now, but I see she hasn't moved from her position, but she appears to be conscious, despite that bullet wound to the shoulder. But she's in a room with no windows. No way for Leslie Dilley to see her from there.
Dilley heard something. Look at her body language change.
I saw Susan Cameron try to move and cry out in pain. Now, Dilley can home in on the only remaining player and secure the win.
She's approaching the door, the Soviet assault rifle her only weapon, held at the ready as if the hounds of hell waited inside. Everything with her has been slow until she needs to be fast. And there she goes, sliding up to the door and taking a position to one side. One hand reaches out and opens it, then she ducks back.
Inside the room, Susan Cameron has seen the door open and is gazing at it. I can't tell if she's aware of a threat or if the blood loss has gotten to her head. And in comes Leslie Dilley, the rifle finding its target and... hesitating?
Oh no.
Cameron has done the impossible. She's won Battle Royale with a sudden, unexpected shot with the .44 Magnum. The gun actually leapt from her hand, but with Dilly framed in the doorway at just a few feet, it was an easy shot to make. Still, there's plenty of luck to be cited, as the bullet shattered Leslie Dilly's sternum and put her down immediately.
She's drowning in her own blood, Austin.
As soon as she stops thrashing, Susan Cameron will be declared winner, and the medics will appear, behind a phalanx of armed guards, of course. Jessica, you looked shocked.
I thought Leslie had it in the bag. I had more than money on it. I was a fan. But I should have seen it.
What's that?
A lack of killer instinct. Too much compassion dulls even the sharpest sword. It was a lack of willpower, not ability.
And Susan Cameron showed more willpower, even with a low body count and record of leaving friends behind to die?
Especially with those things. The goal here is not to play well, but to survive. And who can deny that this scrappy little romantic has done just that, using whatever love, luck, selfishness, and ruthlessness the situation required? I call that the full package, Austin.
Jessica, you never cease to amaze me.
What was that?
Just routine interference. So as the winner is taken from the field for treatment, she will first have the customary congratulation meeting with the leader, who I hear is actually on the island. So we'll be breaking away so people can watch the official broadcast. And when that's done, Jessica will be here to run down this Battle Royale's biggest market surprises, the largest payouts, and the biggest baths, the heroes and goats. Until then, this is Austin Hamilton saying goodbye from Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio.
By Joe Pappalardo, 2026.